Makers obviously don't believe Lamar Jackson or many, if any, of the Ravens starters will play Saturday at Baltimore against the Steelers, who, believe it or not, are 4-point favorites. That's all you need to know. John Harbaugh said yesterday he still isn't sure whether Lamar will play. Michael, you went through these playoff bye situations several times in your career. Should Lamar play Saturday?
Well, this is a tough one. And it's so much easier when Lamar wasn't this Lamar Jackson. You know, the previous years when Lamar was more of the running Lamar Jackson, you rest him. Because I'm not, you know, his ability to run and the hits he may take, I would say automatically just rest him easily. Now it's a little different. Because they are in a nice little groove here, Lamar throwing the ball wise and hanging in the pocket. And those throws he made last week, the Zay Flowers, were perfect deep throws. Remember early on in the season, they were working on this. They were talking about that he needed to get better at it. He had missed some people, and Odell Beckham had missed Odell. And now it looks like, man, they are hitting their stride. So I'm concerned that Lamar takes 2 weeks off. 2 weeks off.
Yep.
And will he still be able to come back this kind of sharp? You know, now that Lamar is playing the way he's playing, he has more control over things than he did before. Yep. You know, he can now, you know, say, all right, I don't have to make these runs, even if I decide to play. And God knows, I know they're not going to play him. They're not going to play him because there's too much at risk here if he gets hurt. But I'm going to be concerned about him staying sharp, passing-wise, if he's going to be out for the next 2 weeks, not throwing the ball and not seeing that real speed.
Okay,
yeah, I'm going to be concerned about
Michael,
that.
would you, if you were coaching the Ravens, would you play him or let him play a quarter or a half?
I would want to keep my passing game sharp, you know, and because now remember, you're not playing him this week. He's not playing next week. So I'm going to practice and keep practice, like Sherm said, you're controlling practice anyway. And, yeah, maybe I'll give them a series, and then I can pull everybody. But I know that they prepared this week, and they are ready. I'm not going to leave them too long because, you know, Pittsburgh, those dudes don't play, and they will be hitting. So I would tell Lamar, if you want to get a couple throws, get a couple series, let's get out of here. But protect yourself. And you can do that. Just throw the ball. Don't run the ball.
Richard.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I'd say treat it like a third preseason game. You play him for almost a half. Let him get his feet wet. Let him get a sweat. Let him push the ball down the field a little bit, run the ball, run the offense, get his bearings about him, and then sit him down, put a hat on or a beanie, and then let the rest play out. I think during the week you give Tyler Huntley half of the reps, you know, because you don't want the second team offense to get out there and have no reps and all his reps be with the scout team. So you want him to go in there and practice these plays and run these plays and get a somewhat of a rapport with some of the receivers he's going to deal with, because I think you have to play some of them. You don't have enough receivers to sit all your receivers in the game. I think defensively, you rest Kyle Hamilton, who's already kind of banged up with the sprained knee. He's going to be very important to your playoff run. I think everybody else you play, again, for the first half, because you don't want to kill the young guys either. You know, they're playing special teams. They're playing all phases of the game. So you don't want them to play 4 quarters of all phases of the game and be resting 13, 14 guys and putting a lot of strain on the other guys, which would lead to injuries. So I think you manage it and let them play a half and let it play out that way. But you got to remember, I think they got the odds like this because not only do they think, hey, they're going to rest Lamar, they're going to rest a lot of these starters, but Pittsburgh beat them at full strength earlier this year.
They did.
With Kenny Pickett at quarterback.
Right.
Yep. No, very good point. Okay, I believe John Harbaugh will not play Lamar one single snap. I believe he will tell the media that he's got to save Lamar from himself, tough love him, and say, no, not this time. We got to wait until it's right, and we got to rest everybody because they were a beat-up football team coming out of the Miami game that you mentioned, Richard, about Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey tweaked his calf and Brandon Stevens couldn't go. So they're just beat up, and they can use the rest, as you were talking about our Cowboys at Washington. But here's the point. Lamar has talked about how it's still a thorn in his side and his psyche that he won the MVP that year in 2019. They had the 1 seed, and they took the whole week off the last week against, ironically, Pittsburgh in a home finale. And they stunk it up in their home first round after the bye game because Tennessee came in and just beat the stuffing out of them. It was 28-12, but it was 28-6 early in the fourth quarter. And Lamar was just off. He was just out of sync and out of rhythm the whole night long and wound up having to throw 60 passes, 59. He was 31 of 59 passes, which is not that's a recipe for disaster. He threw for 365 yards. He did run it 20 times for 143 yards. The problem was he threw 2 interceptions. The problem was he lost a fumble. So he had 3 turnovers himself. They stunk as a team. They couldn't stop Derrick Henry, who ran wild, had 195 yards rushing. No shame there because he's done it to everybody, including Kansas City. But the point was, Lamar still feels pain about the fact that he wasn't ready for the playoff game. So to me, I know it's high risk, high reward and all that, or maybe low reward in this case, but I'm going to let Lamar play the way Richard said. I might even let him go a half. I just think John Harbaugh is going to say flat out no to this because they're a beat-up football team.
Yeah, I don't see him saying no to Lamar being a veteran. He's a veteran quarterback now. He's not a young guy. He's not, I think that'd be more of a conversation between those two.
Maybe so.
Yeah,
Michael.
And listen, I think, listen, you said, well, Lamar threw 39 times. You don't want that to happen again.
59. 59.
50. It'd be okay if he did it this time. You know what I mean? Playing the way he's playing right now.
Yeah.
And if he had to do it, But now, I don't know if he'll have to throw it that many times, but I know he needs to be sharp like he was last week or the last couple of weeks when he took down 2 of the Giants in this National Football League. Because now they're winning primarily with his arm, not his legs.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. So, Richard, back to you. So, if Lamar is now a veteran, proven quarterback, goes to Jim Harbaugh today, tomorrow, and says, hey, I feel good. You need to let me play a half. Would you give in to him if you're John Harbaugh?
Yeah. You listen to your veteran quarterback. This is the difference between college football and the pros, is that it's not just the head coach's decision. Hey, I'm a dictatorship and you do what I tell you to do. It's much more of a symbiotic relationship where it's conversational. Hey, you got to trust me. I care just as much as you care. I need these reps. And if what you say is true about Lamar feeling like the MVP year, they were the 1 seed, they rested, then I guarantee you he's not going to repeat what doomed him the last time. No. He's not going to sit at home and say, hey, let's do what we did the last time when we struggled against Tennessee and we rested and we did that. We're going to try something different. John, you were there as well. We don't want it. We saw that didn't work for me. That didn't work for what I need going into this game. That didn't work for our team. Let's try something different. And I think John Harbaugh is the type of coach that'd be open and receptive to that.
I agree to a point. I just think he's going to think it just makes more sense to rest at this point.
Right.
So Michael, back to you.
And he'll go to him, Skip. He'll go to him and say, listen, we got that MVP wrapped up. We got the MVP wrapped up right now. We want to keep you healthy. Let's get the MVP. Let's let Tyler play. Let's let Huntley play, and you get yourself some rest. Well, get enough in practice that you can stay sharp. He's absolutely going to sell him that dream. He's absolutely going to try to keep him
That's
healthy.
The worst thing to sell.
You guys said. But you guys say he's going to sell it to him as I'm saving you from you. I know you want to be out there with your guys, and you're going to get out there. and he'll start doing things that you don't intend to do, trying to win for his guys.
Yeah.
But that's the most concerning thing, because if you start to tell him, hey, this is going to be just like 19 when you won the MVP and we rested you, and then he starts to remember and he starts to have those nightmares. He's going to be like, I don't want the result of what happened in 19. I don't want us resting. It didn't go well for us.
Yeah. And yet, Michael, Lamar doesn't have unanimous MVP wrapped up yet, because I think Richard has a vote, if I'm not mistaken. Don't you have a vote, Richard?
I wish, Skip. They don't give me that. They give it to acclaimed writers and things of that nature. They don't give me no power in this game.
I think you're right. All right, one last pass at this. Back to you, Michael. When you played for those dynastic Cowboys, I can't remember how many buys you had, but how did it work out when you did rest over rust and took the whole week off?
I'm a rep guy. I mean, if I go in a game, I need to feel like I prepared myself. You know what I mean? So I like going into a game knowing I got my reps. And I'd rather coach tell me later that he's pulling me out. So I don't have to decide it. I don't have a decision about it. I can just focus on playing football and getting ready for games.
I remember you guys resting, like taking that last game off when you had the the 1 seed wrapped up.
Yeah, Jimmy would pull us, but we didn't know that. You see, he wouldn't tell us that we were going to rest. He said, hey, we're preparing. We're preparing to play. And then sometimes we'll come out, we're warming up, and coach will say, sit it down. I said, what? Come on, coach. He said, no, sit it down. I just wanted to make sure we get a good week of work in. So that's what he always did. He would never come out and say it. Okay.
And Richard, you go through that way?
No, we never rested. I mean, the first 2 Super Bowls we were the #1 seed, and we had such a young team. It didn't make sense to rest any of us. We didn't have any old veterans. It was just keep playing. We enjoying the game. We're fun. We didn't even think about resting or anything like that. When I got to San Francisco, we were playing for the 1 seed at the end of the season. So we were playing against the Seattle Seahawks for the 1 seed. So we were in a dogfight for it. So it wasn't decided until week 17. So, yeah, I think that's the best way to go. But if it is a meaningless game, then you again just play them for a half.
I got it. All right. Speaking of dogfights, the Eagles are about to be in one at Giants. But then the question looms, will the Eagles even win one playoff game?